These are the origins of the magic sense. Human eyes, alive and not yet 40 days old. Already unmistakably endowed with mysterious dark pigment crystals that promise a rich gift of vision. Eye and brain linked by minute nerve cables that transmit the beginnings of a mystical visual language. The exact vocabulary of the language and its imprints remain a distant secret. Etched deep within billions of microscopic photosensors, forever mated to the raw energy of light. Seeking to understand sight with a once unattainable excellence is the mission of the sight doctor.
I'll jiggle the eye.
Doctors able to cast a ray of light to lives threatened by darkness. In one family, a blind father seeks reprieve from a prison of shadows. For a young man, a menacing retinal tear threatens loss of an eye.
So if nothing is done, he will lose the sight in the eye.
And for this little boy, two eyes are unable to see as one. Buttressing the mission to preserve sight is an arsenal of 21st century technology. Spellbinding breakthroughs
Down and left.
that move into and beyond the frontier of the body's living camera.
Oh.
The magic sense is a renewed vision of ourselves as never before seen. Astounding insights into the worlds of thought, memory, emotion, and beauty. Visions that change the way we see life and the way we perceive the marvels of the body human.
Concentrate on that ring. Concentrate very strongly. As our eyes meet, you feel good. You feel
By
good.
every appearance, the hypnotist wields overwhelming power over the human eye.
Watch those eyes. Concentrate on those eyes. And now, close your eyelids.
He controls his subjects by capturing their total vision.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Because the hypnotist is aware that a powerful sense of sight is the one alien force that can thwart
They're
him.
locking, they're glued together, riveted together, strongly. Bring both arms straight forward. Remember, we have two very important senses, the sense of sight and the sense of sound. Besides, you will also utilize your good imagination and your visualization. With this in mind, I want you to concentrate. Palms together.
By freezing sight even with eyes open, he commands the subject to look inward, to recall the past, to summon the brain's great storehouse of visual memory.
Deeply hypnotized. Now, I want you to go back to the time of your earliest childhood. You are going back. With each and every touch on your shoulder, you are feeling younger and younger. You're now 8 years old, you're now 7 years old, and there you are, 6 years old, in school. Do you like it?
Yes.
Tell me more about that experience. Who is sitting on your left? The boy or the girl?
Well, this is Johnny over here.
Yes?
And Mary down there, and Tyrone sitting over here.
That's nice.
The subject sees the past, plucking fruits of the eye that totally dominate the phenomenon of visual remembrance.
Tell me, how old are you?
6.
6 years. How does it feel to be 6 years?
Feels good.
Yeah? What do you like to do?
I like to go outside and mess around in the mud and stuff.
Oh, that's nice.
If the subject had never savored eye pictures, memory would live on a dark screen. Instead, he sees life in color and with feeling.
It winds around this long, grassy area, and it's got all these trees and stuff, and all this mud and stuff in it. And near the mud, like right on the banks, there's all these dirt bombs and stuff.
Yeah.
Things, and you know, we like throw them. You know, we throw them around at each other.
You're looking at it right now, don't you?
The present, the past, the future. All seen. And the past begins here, in the 6th week of life. These historic motion pictures photographed for the body human through a slender optical telescope peering inside the womb allow remarkable views of the earliest beginnings of the magic sense in a living human embryo. Because the embryo is human, the brain is growing at an astronomical rate, creating new nerve connections at an astounding 50,000 a minute, wiring in place delicate visual cables linking brain vision centers to these well-formed eyes. Eyes which even now show the dark beginnings of photosensitive particles being locked within 300 million microscopic photosensors that will soon become responsive to light. By the 9th week of life in the womb, the eyes are still without eyelids and become positioned on either side of the nose. This nearby circular ridge is the developing ear. It too is being selectively brain-wired, and as a result, sound is synchronized with sight in perfect harmony. Though the fetal body is still barely 4 inches in length, by 12 weeks, the eyes are covered by paper-thin eyelids. And in these phenomenal pictures, the fetus is actually responding to the unexpected glare of our camera's light by protectively pulling the hands upward and moving the head away. The human camera, even at 40 days, is celebrating vision, ready for 70, 80, perhaps 90 years of seeing. Vision begins as light streams through the crystal clear cornea. Because it's the eye's window, a cornea has no blood vessels. It's ingeniously nourished by the oxygen in tears. The pupil muscle is painted with your eye's inherited color. Like a camera's iris, the pupil regulates the amount of light hitting the lens. By subtly changing thickness, a lens sharply focuses pictures, but only at the exasperating cost of optically flipping them upside down. Focused and flipped, beaming at the speed of light, the image plays out on the photosensitive retina, where the fireworks of vision convert light to an electrical picture. To rectify an upside-down view of the world, the eye's electrical impressions are transcribed into coded messages that run through 1 million visual nerve cables to the brain. And there, by a miracle no man is wise enough to comprehend fully, the brain's 10 billion cell projection screen nonchalantly repaints the picture right side up and in living color. The retina's picture makers are called rods and cones. About 7 million light-receptive retinal cones per eye make possible technicolor vision by selectively paint-mixing 3 primary color families of blue-sensitive, red-sensitive, and green-sensitive cone receivers. Black and white picture taking is the task of about 130 million retinal rods. Even though unable to perceive color, rods are electrically more sensitive than cones, explaining why we see only black and white images during low light. Seeing, looking, and experiencing in tandem, rods and cones unleash an unbelievable 150 million retinal messages per fractional second. Artistically blending life's motions into a vivid, breathtaking, three-dimensional spectacle. Eyes are bearers of beauty to the body human. Eyes are magic. All the celebration of eye magic is only a memory for 30-year-old Tom Pamp, a former technical salesman from Montclair, California. A diabetic since early childhood, he awoke on a morning a year ago with a hazy shadow in one eye. And within 24 hours, sight in both eyes was gone. The cause, diabetic eye hemorrhages. The future, seemingly hopeless. After a year blind, after his doctors have all but given up, after never seeing his youngest-born son, Jonathan, only an indomitable spirit keeps alive a distant, impossible dream.
I just keep telling myself that it's going to get better, and I really feel that that it will get better. Maybe just the type of person I am, I guess I won't, you know, I'll go down, but I'll go down fighting.
In the Pamp case, tiny hemorrhages had clouded the normally clear jelly that fills and shapes the eye interior, and also caused the lens to develop opaque deposits called cataracts. Tom Pamp is blind because the clouding and cataracts prevent light from reaching the retina. At the Doheny Eye Institute in Los Angeles, the testing for one last-ditch sight-saving attempt is complete, and surgeon Stephen Ryan lays out the harrowing, final chance game plan.
But still, when we looked at 100 consecutive people that we operated with vitrectomy, 5 of them had to have their eyes removed after the operation. Okay, so I mean, that's a very real risk. You can't have anything much worse than losing your eye.
I know, everything's gonna be just fine.
Well.
Early morning.
You're the lucky one, you're gonna sleep through it all. Okay?
Okay.
Say a prayer. Bye.
Okay. All right.
Surgery is on the frontier of the new technology.
Let's have a scope.
A daring, microscopic underwater exploration into the innards of the sightless eye of Tom Pamp.
Okay, now cut it off. Do you have the plug there?
Yes.
Okay, I think we're in business. Now, what we'll be doing is going in with the fragmentome.
Dr. Ryan's challenge is twofold. First, the cataract-scarred lens will be securely fastened by a slender steel rod. Next, operating under magnification, a high-frequency sound knife will be inserted into the lens from the opposite side. The ultrasonic waves shattering the glass-like lens into fragments small enough to be removed by a suction needle. Then, if all goes well, Dr. Ryan will inject a needle-thin underwater light directly into the darkened sea of eye jelly. The light beam guiding the movements of a miniature suction probe with which he hopes to remove the murky, clotted eye fluid.
This is the removal of the lens. Right.
13.
It's on 12 power.
12 power, what's the suction meter?
It's on about 13.
Okay, let's see what we get.
Looking through Tom Pamp's cornea as though it were an observation window, Dr. Ryan begins a tedious bit-by-bit extraction of the sound wave shattered lens.
Oh boy, look at that.
Suddenly, an unexpected complication.
Lights out, all the lights out.
A brittle chunk of shattered lens is cracked free, sinking and disappearing into the murky eye water below, lost somewhere in the depths, on the floor of the incredibly fragile retina.
Would you just turn on that infusion line? Good.
Before the lost fragment can be found, Dr. Ryan must first carefully remove the cloudy eye jelly.
Lines. Okay, knife to me, please. How's the suction in the bottle? He's got a very dense vitreous hemorrhage.
The retina is a living photosensitive fabric with the delicacy of a cobweb.
That's right.
And the slightest mistake in manipulating the suction needle carries the hazard of irreparable, lifelong blindness. Progress is measured in terms of hours, in fractions of inches.
We're going to have to cut across these bands and leave this traction.
Lighting the eye from within, Dr. Ryan gradually suctions the murky jelly.
Reach back and try to see if we can suck it up.
The lost lens fragments are finally visible on the eye's floor. But because the fragment lies directly on the retina, there is grave danger of causing retinal detachment.
Infusion to the eye on, please. Okay, good.
The first chunk is gingerly elevated.
One more little piece. Why don't we turn the suction down to 2, please?
But a last smaller piece remains. And now the remaining fragment.
Okay, so we've got that piece of lens out of there now.
After 4 grueling hours, Tom Pamp's destiny is sealed.
Hi, Mr. Pamp. How are you doing? It's been a long day for you, hasn't it? Oh, my goodness. Let me tell you that, from the technical point of view, everything went fine. By that, I mean, it's just going to be a matter of time before we can tell how well he sees. Okay?
Okay.
Good.
Thank you.
Sure
Thank
thing.
you.
Sure
Thank you
thing.
so much. Really,
Sure
I mean
thing.
it.
No, it's, I'm
You
just
know,
glad to try to help people like you,
You were
and
our
your
last
husband.
hope, you know that.
Right. Well, all I could say is we're all very hopeful, and it couldn't be for better people. Let's keep our fingers crossed and hope everything goes well for you, okay?
The next 2 weeks, Tom and Maggie Pamp will wait for healing. And most of all, wait the long wait for bandages to be removed.
Hi, Miss Pamp. Hi. Hi, Miss Pamp. How are you feeling?
Real good.
Okay. Is that pain less than it was before?
Much less.
Oh, good.
Much less.
That's good. What I'm going to do now, Mr. Pamp, is maybe then to take a look and see just how tight that bandage is for you. Skin must be pretty raw.
Yes, it is.
Okay, you just keep your lids closed after I take this bandage off. What I'm going to do is just to put some very temporary glasses on, and I want you to understand again, that these are not the glasses that you really need, but I want you to try now to open both eyes for me. That's good. That's good. Can you see my hand moving out here, Mr. Pamp? Okay. You seeing fingers?
I see 2.
Okay.
I see 5.
Fantastic. Maggie, would you want to come on over here? He does seem to see a lot better up close when he can, get in the clinic. You can see Maggie?
I can see Maggie's face,
She's holding something there.
Yeah, she's got my son.
Right.
Yeah.
You want to try and take a look?
Yeah, I haven't seen him yet either.
Is that right? I bet this is something he wouldn't mind waking up for.
Well, you little wart. You little wart.
For Tom Pamp, husband and father with an impossible dream, a magic sense restored.
Can you see his eyes?
Yeah, I can. I can see the color of them. They're a real pretty blue.
Is that right? Can you really see his eyes?
Yeah, I sure can.
You really can?
I really can.
Isn't that something? They're vested.
From every aspect, the eye is an architectural masterpiece. Eyelid skin is by design the body's very thinnest, making lids light, fast, and flexible. And eyelids never simply snap shut. They close like a zipper, always moving in a direction towards the nose, windshield wiping tears toward the tear ducts. Eyelashes are replaced every 3 to 5 months, and each lash is so sensitive that contact with even a minute dust particle will instantly cause reflex blinking. Spontaneous everyday blinking keeps the eye moist and follows a natural rhythm, about 1 blink every 3 seconds in men and about every 4 seconds in women. Get excited and the blink rate speeds up. But even though blinking interrupts vision, the brain automatically maintains an uninterrupted picture. The pupil's oscillations constantly adjust to minute changes in light levels. And because the pupil muscle was originally developed from brain tissue, it mysteriously responds to emotions like surprise, fear, even sexual excitement by enlarging. The magic sense makes even the most challenging feats of eye-hand coordination seem routine. In less than a moment, the eye's photoreceptors capture a skeet's moving image. The eye's brain computers analyze speed, trajectory, and relative gun sight position. And the eye automatically squeezes the marksman's trigger finger with a phenomenal preciseness. Because each eye sends pictures to both sides of the brain, human vision has built-in 3-dimensional perspective. It's done by positioning the 2 eyes like surveyor's transits at the base of a distance-measuring triangle. The triangle being completed by the sharply focused target at the peak. With practice, this device is all you'll need to judge how far away a target is and how hard to hit the cue ball. Action sports demand accurate action vision, and how good an athlete you are largely depends on how well you've trained the magic sense. Pitchers hide the ball from batters for as long as possible and perfect control by blocking peripheral vision to focus on a specific target. Catchers learn to keep eyes level and depend on peripheral vision to get a big picture. Hitters maintain balance by keeping the head still, triangulating instant by instant on the ball, then reflexly ordering an action swing. And fielders, too, always rivet eyes on the moving ball, knowing that built-in eye-hand coordination will smoothly position the glove with a pinpoint sense of reckoning.
Altimeter 2998, break American 66, clear to land, short final.
Eyes, brain, hands, speaking one to another.
Gear is down. Okay. Flaps going to 25.
As the most critical moment of flight approaches.
Speed brake. Landing gear.
Vision subtly manipulating 500,000 pounds of metal at an approach speed of 170 miles an hour.
100 feet above the field.
Aiming at a slender strip of runway. 400 passengers as precious cargo.
50. 30.
Three-dimensional vision is an acquired skill that develops after birth. during a learning period in which both eyes grow accustomed to working together.
I'm gonna have to tie you down.
And finally blend right and left views into a single picture. It's called binocular vision and happens automatically. Automatically, unless for some reason the two eyes cannot learn to see in harmony. As in the case of Liam Roth of New York City, a 13-month-old boy born with cross-fixed eyes.
What would happen if this was left alone?
Well, if this was left alone, he'd end up with two independent eyes, hopefully good vision in each, but they could never work together. If we can get them straight by any means very early in life, he stands a good chance of developing binocular vision.
At the New York Eye and Ear Infirmary, Dr. John Herman determines that individually both Liam's eyes are normal.
Right in there, really accurate. These are +3 lenses.
But because spastic eye muscles are pulling the eyes off beam, each eye sees a slightly different picture.
Now, this cannot be treated by medical means. This is going to be a surgical problem. And the earlier it's done, the better chance we have for a good result.
Unless the brain is programmed to screen a single image by age 2, vision never attains normal depth perception. And the Roth baby will have no hope for binocular vision.
Well, Liam, you're looking handsome as usual today. How you doing? You get some rest? Okay, we're going to have you fixed up in just a little while now. Rotate that eye up just a little bit for me.
To rebalance the overactive muscle, Dr. Herman must open a narrow passageway into the eye's socket. When the slender muscle band is isolated, he will carefully elevate it with a tiny hook. Then securely fasten one end to prevent the muscle from snapping back into the eye socket and becoming lost after Dr. Herman cuts it. After the muscle is severed, the final step is to judge the precise reattachment spot that will fixate the eye in a normal position.
Yeah, that's medial rectus. That's the thing that's overworking.
The spastic muscle is located, hooked,
Just put our whip box in.
and tied.
Big wing. All set there. Let's cut that muscle. Now, this is real critical here because if you go too deep.
If the sobac is too deep, the eye will be punctured. If too shallow, the muscle will tear away. If too far front or back, the right eye's gaze will not exactly match the left. Dr. Herman selects the muscle sobac spot.
Okay, so we put it back exactly 5.5, as you see. It's right on the dot. So let's tie it down.
And carefully begins to reattach the severed muscle.
You want to get that suture in right? Okay. Don't pull too hard now on that hook. Okay, we're going to clip a couple of those ends. They're a little shorter, all right? Hold on.
Liam Roth's eyes seem to be rebalanced. But in the weeks to come, the reattached eye muscles must heal, and only then will the Roth family know whether Liam's eyes are at last properly positioned.
Time to go to work. I gotta go to work. Come up and give me a kiss goodbye, huh? Give me a kiss goodbye. How about that?
Ah, hello, did you have a good sleep, huh?
Several weeks have passed since the surgery. Liam Roth is perfectly normal again. And binocular vision is on the way. These unprecedented radioactive motion pictures monitor the brain's electrical response to sight and sound in a way never before possible. The yellow-pink colors at center screen show the brain listening to sound picked up by the ear. To the right, a similar color band depicts the brain's coded view of what the eye sees, and at the upper left edge, the thinking caps are busy interpreting what's heard and seen. Though the eye faithfully reproduces images, it's normally bombarded by so many combinations of color and motion that accurately sorting out all the input very much depends on timing and point of view and even preconceived notions. And so, for the eyewitness put to a visual test in the heat of a frenzied moment, well, what's seen and what's thought to be seen may be very, very different. Each eyewitness clearly saw the whole event.
You go first, then.
I was sitting on the park bench reading my newspaper. All of a sudden, this guy come running by. He had a yellow T-shirt and a
Or
door.
did they?
That's not
He
what
snatched
happened.
the lady's purse and ran off into the woods.
That's not what happened.
What'd you see?
There were two. They were a team.
Oh,
I was in the middle of it.
Wait a minute.
You're both crazy.
Whoa!
So, who's right?
Two guys.
Only one man was involved.
What about the dog?
Absolutely not. And he didn't run off into the woods that way. He ran off that way.
Oh, she must
wait a
be
minute.
blind.
Now,
I
listen.
If the eye had instant replay, and if time could be frozen, then the man on the bench would learn he was buried behind the newspaper at the key action moment. And the cyclist was bumped so her vision was distracted toward the man with the dog, while the young mother just happened to be looking in the right place at the right time, able to focus a mind's eye on one right set of details, adding up to what really happened right in front of everyone's eyes. Though vision is impossible without light, the supreme irony is that light energy itself cannot be seen. In lowest light, our eyes are limited to black and white rod vision, and so the objects we're watching in these time-lapse motion pictures are still neither red nor green nor yellow. Rising in the sky, the sun slowly silhouettes a distant hill, then more and more reflecting light waves reach our retina. And as color cones are gradually stimulated by the stronger light rays, reds, greens, and yellows replace stark black and white. Growing more intense, the morning sun brings dawn, and with it the excitement of hues, shading, depth perception. We see a picture, sometimes simply called beauty.
The weather forecast, patchy clouds this morning, then sunny the rest of the day with a chance of a thunderstorm late this afternoon. The high today, 81 to 86, below tonight, 60 to 64.
Even when light is permanently snuffed out, vision continues. But now gazes inward, paging through millions of past images, resurrecting visual memory. For Jeremiah Tian of Staten Island, New York, the art of living the present from past pictures is a necessary way of life.
When I first realized I was blind, I felt the anger first that any one human being could do it to another. And then as I lay in the hospital, I made up my mind that blindness could probably be an interesting experience if one looked at it that way.
Blinded in a brutal mugging 6 years ago, Mr. Tian relearned the landmarks of a dark world. Avoiding danger by sound and touch and smell. Training a backup system of brain wiring that sees without eyes.
Well, naturally, I rely more on my other senses because I must. Sense of touch, naturally. Without it, I couldn't travel. With the cane, I can pick up an obstacle in front of me, an obstacle to the side.
The clicking of a traffic light, the scent of a sidewalk peanut vendor, differing textures of pavement, a mental map forms in the mind's eye to find the right office from upwards of 20,000. And tricks, like Jeremiah Tien's private scratch mark on the 39th floor. Cane away, destination reached.
When I really felt that I was accepted by my coworkers was coming back from the washroom. I'd walked into a chair, and I backed off with the cane, stepped to the left, and hit another chair. And I backed off, and I stepped to the right, and I hit another chair. Then I realized it was one of my coworkers in front of me moving the chair back and forth.
Jeremiah Tien is on home turf by a slightly different kind of magic.
My name is Tien. I'm an investigator with the Workmen's Compensation Board.
These unusual motion pictures explore the internal landscape of a working retina. It's the only part of the body in which tiny arteries are directly visible. For fine detail seeing, your eye directs images to the retina's focusing center because it's packed with over 5,000 retinal cones that specialize in precise discrimination of form and color. The abundant blood supplies nourishment and carries off heat generated when light strikes the retina. This bump is called the blind spot. It's the exit point of impulses to the brain and contains no rods or cones. It's also an entry point for blood vessels, and these delicate pulsations are confirmation of the heartbeat. Because the retina's blood vessels are so easy to spot, it's sometimes possible to treat very small hemorrhages by firing laser beams through the eye's pupil directly at the bleeding site, sealing off the blood vessels with a searing pinpoint spear of heat energy. Without the retina, all light, all color is black.
3952.
Good.
And for Pat Rogers, a 15-year-old student and athlete from Holden, Massachusetts, the retina and what it means has become an intensely personal, private experience. It began simply enough. The hiss of sharp skate blades, a sudden body check, a stick tip slashing the mask, then an agonizing purple flash in the left eye.
Do you see any light?
Yes.
Okay. Can you distinguish what direction it's coming from?
Yes.
Which direction? Which direction?
Over here.
Okay.
To the left.
And now?
Up top.
Okay.
To the left.
And now?
Still up there.
Never had any problem with the other eye?
No.
At the Massachusetts Eye and Ear Infirmary in Boston, Dr. H. Mackenzie Freeman makes a grave discovery.
Okay.
Pat Rogers has a giant tear in the left retina.
Mr. and Mrs. Rogers, first of all, I want to say that I'm very sorry that Patrick has had such a serious injury. He's had a very serious injury to the eye. And whether we can do this, we don't know. But if we don't do anything, he'll lose the sight in the eye.
A giant tear means massive retinal detachment.
Slept well?
An inner eye torn almost in half.
To see you.
What about Thanksgiving?
Well, we'll talk about Thanksgiving.
You're going to Michael's anyway,
Well, we'll see, Pat. Why don't you take it easy now, all right?
We just told him that it was very serious, but he has no idea that he may, in fact, not see out of that eye. But I couldn't tell him that. Just couldn't tell him.
In the high-stakes world of giant tear surgery, the operating theater is a mission control center, and the pictures border eerily on the realm of science fiction. For Surgeon Freeman, it will be a skill-demanding, moment-by-moment facing of the unpredictable. A one-man journey into the eye's secret, forbidden zones. And for Pat Rogers, a 100-to-1 shot gamble. The longest, harshest odds he will ever face. The sudden blow to Pat's eye caused the photosensitive retinal fabric to rip and to fall away or detach from the eye's inner surface. The repair begins by opening a window into the eye at the exact point of retinal detachment. Next, using a heat probe, Dr. Freeman will attempt to create a series of minute spot welding points directly in the living tissue, whereupon the entire operating table will be rotated to allow gravity to pull the loose flap downward. If all goes well, Dr. Freeman's final challenge is to remove a few drops of trapped fluid from beneath the retina at the welding site, while injecting a stream of air that will hopefully force the flap to adhere to the spot welds, and then heal normally.
This is a treacherous looking one.
The detachment site has been located and spot welds laid down.
Right there, turn it on.
No retinal surgeon alive has faced the test of giant tear surgery more often than Dr. Freeman.
Turn on the transilluminator reader, please. Okay, lights out.
But each case is a crucial new test. Dr. Freeman must complete the reattachment in less than 60 minutes because the body's heart and circulation can only tolerate the stressful suspended in space position for a limited time. Operating on his knees, peering through an optical lens worn like a miner's hat, Dr. Freeman is gently maneuvering the retinal flap back into position over the spot welds.
This is all gaping open. Looks like a shark's mouth. The air bubble's going to collect over here. That's the problem. 5.5. 6. 6.5. 7. Okay, up and over that.
The pinback appears complete. A complication.
There's a bad wrinkle in it. And then I saw these bubbles.
The retinal flap has unfolded only partially on the first pinback attempt. The odds against Pat Rogers grow more ominous.
What's the angle?
Now, a last try.
Rotating down. Give me that other needle.
The flap is moving into position.
FCC.
And the injected air is flattening the elusive tear against the spot welds. With luck, the pinback is only moments away.
2.5. 3. 3.5. 4. The needle's in, but we're getting there. You're getting close. Okay. Up and over again, and my glasses.
The surgical mission is accomplished.
Now, is this operation a success? Nobody knows, only God knows.
What remains is healing and hoping the welds will take. Now, only watching and waiting will tell if Pat Rogers' vision has been saved.
Hit him!
Despite all efforts, Pat Rogers' retinal tear has not responded to surgery, and he has lost vision in the injured eye.
Patrick, where you been? We miss you.
Pat faces a personally challenging time of readjustment, but in the years to come, he can lead a normal life with his preciously guarded remaining vision.
Oh, it's for Daddy.
The Tom Pamp family is restored and whole again,
Thank you.
ready for new beginnings.
To a father, best wishes, having a good Father's Day. Janine Pamp. Is that you? Uh-huh. Everybody. Thank you.
And for Jeremiah Tian, too, there is a sense of victory. Is life a reminder that the body human possesses a spirit as magic as the magic sense?
I told you, nothing in this life is fair. Nobody said anything has to be fair.
Wait a second, duck for a minute. There's a rat.
Don't fool around.
Nothing has to be fair.
Color, action, fun, fantasy. Add beauty and wizardry. Call them windows on the world. A personal color palette. Magic's the best word. Eyes are magic.